So we'll do a normal takeoff, straight out departure to 2500, and then I'll give you vectors with what headings to turn to on where we go. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, y'all, this is my progress check. Not going to be long-winded today.
He is clear.
Hampton Roads traffic 4293 Juliet, departing runway 28. Hampton Roads traffic.
Okay, we're clear on side 2.
Hampton Roads traffic citation 675 Alpha Bravo is leaving the FBO, going to taxi to runway 28. Hampton Roads.
This video is going to be a little bit longer, so just enjoy. It's my progress check. I learned a lot on this video. Heads up, I did not pass the progress check. I got it incomplete. I have a few things that I have to work on, but we're going to get back to it.
Powering up. Full throttle.
Hampton Roads traffic, Skyhawk 20289. Status on 45 for a left downwind for runway 2A. Hampton Roads traffic.
Looking for 60. Oil pressures are still good. Fuel pressure still good. Temperature still coming up. We got our 60 to rotate. We are rotating. Looks like we got a positive rate of climb.
So the positive rate of climb call out is for gear only.
For gear only?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to say that. If you say that in the check ride, the examiner is going to get all over you because he's purist about calls or what you're doing with the airplane. He could care less about the calls in the, because if there's nobody out there, you don't have to make any like radio calls, but like your call outs, he wants you to be correct with them. Because once you get into more advanced aircraft, that's what you're going to have to do for specific things.
Okay.
Just kind of give you a little feedback on that part.
Okay.
What do you usually use to reference off for your steep turns?
So it depends on the day. If there were clouds out, we would use a cloud that may have been in front of us. If not, we would just reference a heading. So if we were facing west, we would reference back to that west heading marker. Because there's not a lot of, there's no mountains or anything like that out here.
Well, you got the bridge, shipbuilding. You got the big boat right in the middle of the water there. So let's just line up on a heading that puts your dead smack flying directly at the dead fleet, as they call it. Yep.
Okay.
That should be more or less like a 3-5-ish.
Yep.
3-4, 3-5. All right, so we'll use that as our reference for steep turns. That's what you want to come about within 10 degrees of that.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go in. Looking at our 30. Push a little extra power in. Hold that 45. Put a little bit more back pressure on it.
Hey, where's your bank angle?
Going over, yep.
There you go. They give you plus or minus of 5 degrees. So anywhere from 40 to 50, that's it. All right, so you notice as you went steeper, almost 60 degrees.
I did, yep.
You pretty much bottomed down. You lost about a couple hundred feet.
Yeah, I lost 100 on that.
Oh, go off the center, 2,500. If you're 100 low and you say, I lost 100 now, and realistically you lost 200.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you're 100 feet too low. They give you standards plus or minus 100, but what they expect you to be, what? 2,500.
2,500.
Peg down. Okay, let's do one to the right, see how that one looks.
Do I climb back up to 25?
Yep. Always give yourself a nice crisp altitude because you're getting graded off that altitude, and then gives you the wiggle room. A little too steep.
Yeah.
Shallow it out. Now for your commercial standards, you'll be doing 50.
50?
Yeah, but for private, it's 45. You don't have to do commercial standards just yet. Alright, so altitude control, not bad. Speed, you did go, start at about 110-ish, you got almost to 120. Now, I like to teach this. Let me walk you through the way I kind of like to do it, and then you'll see it's not as aggressive on you.
Okay.
Bring your power back to about 2200. Get yourself nice trim down, make sure nothing's pulling on you up or down, left or right.
It is, so the neutral trim right here.
Best way to check trim, just let go of control, see which way the nose is going. See how it's climbing up on you, put nose trim down.
All right.
At 2200-ish, you put you right around about 100, okay? 95, 100, okay, good. All right, so go ahead and we'll start to the left. Start rolling into the left. Just roll in, don't worry about nothing. At 30, at 200 RPM. One more. Now pull back. There's 45, and then just pull a little bit more, and then hold that. Now you didn't do anything on the altitude. You kept your speed within 10. A little bit of back pressure, a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. There's a plane coming. I saw that, so we'll reconfigure here. So the idea is you want to go ahead and get that back pressure in and hold it and don't let it come down. Okay, there's your dead fleet. Start rolling out. So see, it's a little bit...
That is much easier.
I see you hit your own weight.
Yeah.
That's a good steep turn.
That is much easier.
But the thing is that you were starting at 24, almost 2,500 RPM. That's a lot of power. You're handling a lot more weight.
Traffic, Skyhawk 202 at 9, departing runway 28 for a left downwind departure to the southeast. Hampton Roads traffic.
Hampton Roads traffic, 4293 Juliet, it's about 11 miles northwest of the field. Maneuvers at 2,500. Hampton Roads traffic. Okay, so let's go ahead, turn back around to southbound. We'll get away from this other guy that's over here to the right here. And then we'll set up for some slow flight going to 180 heading, okay?
180.
And we'll maintain 2,500. Yeah, you can bump yourself back up to 23. Yeah, so once you come back to wings level, reduce the power, but put it back to cruise about 2,300-ish, depending on the day, and then retrim yourself. The trim is a big thing. Now, with steep turns, I also teach trim too. So as you get yourself through 30, you bump about 100 to 200 RPM. Today, probably 200 is a better fit. And then what I do is I reach for the trim and do 2 full rolls up. And then you don't have to pull as hard. And then once you come back out of the turn, you got to push in, take the 2 rolls of trim back out, reset the power. Okay?
Okay.
So that's kind of how I teach them. Everybody has their style, technique. If you're not using trim, that's fine. It's not wrong. Just make sure you gotta have that back pressure there. Don't relax it. So once you get yourself to the turn, just stop it there and just keep that back pressure. Because a lot of people tend to get to the turn, stop it, and relax the back pressure. And that's when it. And the one thing is with the instrument, it's very lagged. Okay, so you don't see it instantaneously, and then here within about 2 to 3 seconds, you see your altitude starting to come down. I guess what? Can you fix it immediately? No, because by the time you fix it, it takes another 2 to 3 seconds for it to reset itself. So you're kind of almost leading all this stuff by thinking ahead, and that's why you want to get that little bit of back pressure and keep it there so it doesn't allow it to descend. But that last steep there, you notice I was more or less right on the money. You just kind of have to fine tune it a little bit. But I think that too much power is probably giving you too much to work with, so you don't need to get it as fast, okay?
Okay.
But between 90 to 100 is a great speed for steep turns, especially in this airplane. If you're doing it a lot faster, you can definitely do them at a lot faster, but it's just going to be a lot more forces acting upon it, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and we will consider this turn of 180-degree turn as a clearing turn. That guy's to the behind us, to the northwest there, no factor. So we'll kind of keep on tracking this way. Let's maintain south heading of 180, 2,500, and slow it down to 60 miles an hour for slow flight. We're going to do that in the landing configuration with all the flaps down.
All right, so we're going to come down to 1,700 RPM.
If I was a anal, I'd be like, well, you're out of your altitude. Right, because you're supposed to start at 2,500. So
yeah.
don't start the maneuver until you get yourself
in 25.
perfectly on 25. Don't let the examiner ever rush you, okay?
Okay.
And if he's saying, well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm getting set up. Give me a second.
I want up.
All right, so while you're in slow flight, we'll use this 2600 because that's what you started on. Let's make a left turn to 090 heading.
090.
Always check, make sure that there's no traffic there.
No traffic?
Yeah. They're buried in your dash panel.
Yeah.
I usually ask, where are the two most congested areas that you fly in?
The traffic pattern.
Okay, and then what's the other one?
There hasn't been a lot over here as far as in the practice area.
Okay, so the practice area is usually generally, but we get lucky because there's not many people that go up here. But we have that guy to the north, we have the other guy to the northwest, and then we have a helicopter that's buzzing down there low. So that's why you just kind of keep an eye for these type of thing. All right, let's go and make a right turn back to heading of 180.
We're clear on this side.
Clear on
all right.
Now it's slow flight. I tell people it's slow. Don't go more than a standard rate turn. Okay, so kind of keep yourself about a 10-degree bank or so, standard rate turn, and then just take your time to get there. Then you don't have to ever worry about putting
Power.
inputs. Yeah. I don't know if you notice sometimes you have to add more power or take more power out. If you give yourself a more shallow bank, it's going to keep you more equalized, more standard kind of thing versus getting all those additional changes in there. Don't miss your heading of 180.
Oh, 180. Okay, sorry. Thinking west for some reason.
That's fine. Go to west here. Continue all the way to the west here. We'll level off to the west. All right, so once you get the west heading of 270, 2500, or unless we're back at 2500, go ahead and come back to normal cruise.
All right, coming back to cruise. Going full throttle. Got some airspeed here. Check out this first notch of flaps. Fine. Notch of flaps. And we're good. Third notch of flaps. And come back out on this. Kind of maintain. Back down about 20.
All right, so let's make a right turn to the east heading. All right, so once you get yourself back on 090 heading, out of 2500, let's do a power on stall, so the departure stall.
Power on stall. All right. Get myself back up to 25.
So the trick is within 200 feet of your altitude, you can use pitch to gain back altitude. You don't have to throttle it up.
Okay.
Because this way you're going to fatigue yourself, especially when you're doing a lot of maneuvering. Because you're doing so much work, right?
I noticed that I'm tired.
So
okay.
This way, my theory is to try to get yourself fatigued and then use the tricks of the trade to kind of get yourself where you need to be, and then you'll notice how much a little bit more comfortable you'll feel after the flights, and at the same time you're like, man, I'm not working as hard as like I was. Because I used to come back like all sweaty and my arm aching and all that stuff. Because I was always working.
Okay.
And my initial instructor never told me that until later on I found out as I progressed into my more advanced flight ratings.
Okay.
I'm like, man, I'm overdoing this here. I shouldn't be doing all this stuff.
Man.
And one key thing, trim is always going to help you. So when I fly with 1, 2, 3, and I do that British T with the pinky thing. So that's how I fly, and I notice like, oh my gosh, I don't have to choke the yoke, as they say. And it makes it a little bit less easier on you. The plane response really nice as well, very finesse. Okay, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start your power on stall.
Power on stall. All right, we're going to come back down to 1700, and we are going to maintain this altitude, putting this back pressure in. More back pressure. All right, we're hitting that. Full throttle. Back pressure, back pressure. We got a stall light indicator. Right rudder. And that's our stall. And we're going to recover from the stall.
All right, so how you recover?
We leave full throttle in and drop, right? Drop the nose.
Yeah. Okay, so you did fine with dropping the nose, but then why'd you do excessively pitch down after?
That I don't know.
Did you want to hit the ground?
No.
Okay, then don't do that.
Okay.
And then keep the power in there, because now you're going to what? Try to climb out.
Okay.
All right. Let's turn back to the west. At this time, the slow flight, we're out of standards. Steep turns were kind of out of standards. And then even the stall is kind of out of standards because of the recovery aspect, especially by pulling the power, okay? And the pitching excessively low. So what we're going to do is, and this way I kind of show you what I'm expecting to see with standard. Okay, pull the power back. We are cleared. All right, bring your nose up to get slowed up to 65. I see how the heading is pretty much staying, okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so this is kind of close enough, about 70. Go ahead and start advancing full power. Advance a little right rudder. See how it wants to go to left?
Yep.
Okay, right there. Now keep on pitching up, right there, perfect. And just hold this pitch up. Increase a little bit more right rudder, just a little bit more, pitching up, a little bit more, pitching up. There's your stall state. All right, pitching up, a little bit more right rudder. There's your flutter, there it goes, dips, okay. Push to the level here, and then just hold it there.
Okay, and just hold it there.
All right, full power, don't take the power, hold it there. Wait until the speed gets up, and then what you do is just gently pull up, and then continue to climb. Because what you do, you recovered, and now I'm trying to get out of there so I don't hit the trees at the end of the runway. Maneuver's over. Push the nose down. Return yourself back to 2300-ish. Let's say today is good for 2300. But now you're back at cruise. Well, guess what? We climbed, we maintained altitude, we got a little bit more altitude. That's fine. Okay, I'm okay with that. Just, so that's it. That's your maneuver, right?
Okay, so after that, we want to come back down because I was always trying to stay closer to the 25.
So let's say if a maneuver deviates you off of altitude, then you're fine. And if he wants you to come back down, he'll tell you, okay, let's go back down to 2500. Most likely he won't, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have you turn back to the north. We'll consider that a clearing turn. I don't want to get into suffocator space.
Okay.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do a power off stall, go back the other way, and we'll start here off at 2800. So don't climb anymore. And the natural tendency in the normal standard banks that you're doing, or up to 30-degree banks, you're cranking back and you're getting that altitude. Just gently roll in and then just enough back pressure so you don't descend. Okay?
Okay.
That's a common thing everybody thinks that, okay, I got to turn and then crank it back. No, because then you're going to start to climb you. All right, power off stall. Let's go ahead and do that one.
All right, power off stall. We're going to come back down to 1700 RPMs. Take a hold. Right here, like slow flight. All right, we're going to do our 50 low drop. Back down to idle. Pressure. Our stall right there.
All right.
Nose up. Establish a climb. And our speed. First notch. Go.
All right, we'll just level off at this altitude here, even though you're climbing back to altitude. That's fine. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that was good, except one thing. On the recovery, full power, immediately flaps to 25, and then worry about the climb. Unless you had that detrimental drag in there.
You said full power then flaps?
So full power while pushing the nose down, immediately take out the first setting of flaps, and then establish a climb. Because your 40 degrees of flaps are very detrimental.
Okay.
That's maximum drag. And
so I thought we were, okay, I got you.
Yeah, because after 25 degrees, now you guys haven't got into short field, soft field landings yet, right?
No.
Once you get into that here within the next lesson or two, what you're going to do is you're going to see that you can climb all day long on 25 degrees because your short field and your soft field takeoff is going to require you to do 25 degrees.
Okay.
But that 40-degree increment is very detrimental, so you want to get that dumped first. You want to get that out first and then start a climb.
Okay.
All right? All right. Now, one thing I noticed on the power off stall, as you pull the power back, which rudder were you pushing?
Right rudder.
Okay. Do the opposite one.
Do the opposite?
Yeah, because why do you push right rudder to offset?
Well, right rudder is the left turning tendencies.
All right, so when you have no power, do you have a left turning tendency?
No.
No, you actually have an opposite, or right turning tendency. Why? Because this nose rudder is adjusted just a little bit to offset that left turning tendency, so it's yawing you to the right. So that's why you need just a gentle, just a hair, a little bit of left rudder, not too much, just enough, because you want to maintain the heading.
Okay.
All right? That's fine. It's not wrong. I'm just saying that notice that don't push that rudder in there or push just a little left rudder and you'll notice you're not going to be getting off heading or yawing.
That makes sense because I've been doing the right rudder because of left turning tendencies, but I didn't think about when you don't have the power that you really don't have them.
It's a little bit opposite, okay?
Okay.
So remember, power on, nose up, right rudder. Nose down or power off, just a hair of left rudder, okay? And then you're good. All right, so pretty much we're cruising along, and let me power the throttle. We'll go have a engine failure, and a lot of times the engine failures start like one of these deals.
Oh.
And that means you ran out of fuel. So if you ever hear that, what do you do now?
So now I want to look for a field to land in. Like that one straight ahead of us. I think I can take that one.
Okay.
Over here. I think I'm going to go for there. And I'm going to pitch for my 80.
Hampton traffic, check your 1493 Juliet's out of 2,700 simulated engine loss. We're over Nesman River, about 11 miles northwest of the field. Hampton Roads traffic.
All right, now.
Oh, what's hierarchy of flying?
What's what?
The hierarchy of flying.
Navigate.
Nope. Aviate.
Aviate.
So it means fly the plane, airspeed. Navigate is second. So what's that?
Aviate, navigate, communicate.
All right, and then my 2 bits that I put in and everything else. So backing around stuff on the iPad, it shouldn't be even in your thought process to do. I know everybody talks about checklists, but is this a difficult airplane to run through and double check what's wrong? No.
No.
So you haven't been doing any of that. Why not?
I was trying to get to my power and then I guess get here. So from there, I would check my fixture, my throttle, make sure my mags are on, all that's on. Doesn't start.
Okay. So you did not touch the fuel selector. What was the first word I said after I killed your engine?
Oh, fuel.
You ran out of fuel.
So then I would want to check that.
Okay, so I'll go through one of these with you, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and just continue on like you're coming in. Let's say couldn't get it restarted.
That one's now. Can't get it started. All right, so if I can't get it started, I'm going to squawk 7700, 121.5, clear an emergency, unlatch my my doors.
Okay.
And I'm going to navigate down to the field.
All right, which one you going to?
On this one straight ahead.
Okay, so at 500, we'll cut this off and we'll go around.
All right.
which area were you trying to land?
Right in this field.
All right, so you're probably going to hit that house or end up in the water. Because you got to remember, you still got to glide, land, get the airspeed, right? So you got to give yourself enough room to kind of figure it like an airport environment, okay?
Gotcha. So,
and then the other thing, you had a bunch of power lines down here along the road, so we'll probably...
those power lines are hard to see from up here. And knowing which fields don't have them and which fields do have them.
Okay. Let's climb back up to 25, and what I'll do is I'll go through an engine out with you, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so the best maneuver so far, you had your power off stall, okay? Power on stall, I'll say borderline, I'll accept it, but don't pitch the nose excessively down and don't pull the power out.
Okay.
Alright, because the idea is you don't want to fly yourself into the ground and then you don't want to take the power out, you know, to reinforce it, you know? So, full flight, you did pretty good. The big thing is heading control, okay?
Okay.
Make sure, don't get yourself too aggressive with turns. I mean, overall, the maneuver's not too bad. You're doing pretty decent with it. It's just the fine-tuned points now, okay?
Okay.
And then the steep turns, yeah, definitely we kind of, you need to control these banks. Even if you did it,
the hard one.
Even if you did it with a faster power setting like you did, and you controlled your bank angles, that I think would also help you with altitude control. And I think that's kind of what happened with us with those. Just keep on going another 1,000 feet, 2,500. I want to give us some altitude.
Okay.
Now, some flight schools and some instructors are going to say, oh, that's awesome, you pulled up the checklist. That's great. But, did you use the checklist?
I didn't.
No.
Once you mentioned that, you know, hey, this is a pretty easy plane, you know, so I was
well,
like,
still, you know, I mean, that's my input, that's my opinion right here, right? But the thing is, if you're trained to do something, then do it, right? Because in the engine out procedure, your heightened emotional and thought process state is going to be racing a mile.
It is. And that's
a millisecond. And then at the same time, it almost feels like everything that you knew goes out the window.
Right.
Right. And I'm speaking from realistic emergencies. But at the same time, if you anchor yourself and say, hey, let me go to procedure. I'm used to this. I've been trained this. Go to procedure. Go to procedure. Revert yourself to the procedure and then start to go through those checkpoints. Then you'll notice yourself, you're handling the emergency. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, I want to remember. I've been trying to remember this list.
So the thing is, memorizing lists is sometimes harder than just a flow check. Ever heard of the term flow checks?
No.
You start at one point and just kind of hit each thing as you go.
Okay.
All right? So what I'm going to do with you is first thing first, and that's why I told you, hey, you ran out of fuel. And I simulated what would happen if you ran out of fuel. The engine would pulsate.
Right.
Why? Because the Piper Cherokees or any Piper product, that's the most common way of engine failing on you.
It's running out of fuel.
You forget to switch the fuel selector. All right? So while we're talking about it, let's go ahead and switch the fuel selector to the right tank. All right? Got him. Good. All right. We're getting a little lower on that. We just want to balance them out. Okay? Let's make a turn towards the east like we're going back to Hampton Roads.
All right.
So what did I start with? The first thing first, switch fuel selector. Right? But that's in your check parts. So my biggest issue is aviate, fly the plane. So what comes first? You started picking out the field. But that's second, that's navigate.
Okay, yeah, that is
best glide.
Well, I had my best glide already.
Oh, no, you were at about 80. What's the best glide on this one?
It should be 79.
Depend on full gross weight. I don't think we're at full gross weight because we don't have full tanks. So about 75 to 79 in that range, right?
Okay,
even if you said 79, you got to call it out, okay?
Gotcha.
Because I don't know your thought process. I don't know what you're thinking. The first thing you called out, and the same thing the examiner is going to do with you, is they're going to tell you, oh, yeah, well, you were concentrating about the field. You didn't tell me nothing about the speed.
Gotcha.
So see how he got you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I teach A, B, C of the engine now. A, airspeed. B, biggest field. C, checks. So checking your things. Because the number one thing you want to try to restart the airplane. Then if it doesn't start, then you'll secure it and go in and land it. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead. We're cruising along. Pull the power back to idle for me. All right, engine fails. Okay? Now, first thing first, you're concentrating on what? Airspeed.
Airspeed.
What is it? You said 79, right?
Right.
Okay. I say trim yourself up. Just start cranking the nose up. The other way.
The other way.
All the way to almost maybe until you hit the stop. Release the back pressure. There you go, see? So the trim will kind of put you right where you need to be. If you feel like it's too much nose up, lower that nose. There you go, good. All right, so there's your best find. All right, biggest field. Okay. Oh, let's choose that big road down here, right? Or the field right next to the road if there's power lines. Okay?
Yeah.
So that nice brown one right there, okay? So what I'm going to do is, okay, we're flying out this way. I'm going to turn it into a pattern. We'll do over the river a base and then come back final the other way, right? Make it simple for yourself, okay? Now checks. Down by your shin, fuel selector. All right, so you switch it. Come back up here, go from right to left. Mixture. You'll bump a little power. All right, don't bump any now, but apply carb heat.
Carb heat.
So go ahead because we are simulating a real deal. And you'll simulate checking the key. Okay.
Okay.
Then pretty much you're going to move over to the left, turn on the fuel pump. Go ahead and
Fuel
turn it
pump.
on because we're going to get that low. Master's on and
Master's
primer
on.
in and locked. So see how you just handle everything?
Okay.
Then you're going to still continue to attempt to restart this by checking the mags while you have altitude. Put in whatever transponder frequency 7700 and then start broadcasting. The lower you are, radar's not going to see you and nobody might hear you. All right?
Okay.
All right, so now you're starting to kind of lower those down a little bit so you don't get too slow, right? Now, once you trim yourself off, you're just kind of resting your hand on the yoke, and the plane should fly itself. So you're not trying to do all this extra back pressure and pull and all that stuff, okay? All right, so you're on the downwind leg to that road right there that you picked, right?
Yep.
All right, so see how this is looking nice? You're used to a downwind leg, right?
Yep.
But there's no power, so you're not going to go as far to a 45. I'd say once you're kind of over the river here, you're going to start turning in and start turning in all the way in for final. But with Lord Endos, now you're too slow. See how that stall horn is?
Yeah.
There you go. Let go of the control. See what it does. See? It wants to sit there naturally about 70-ish. See how yourself is pulling it? I will go a little bit nose down on it so it's not dragged. Okay. So now pretty much we'll cut this off at 500. But you know how I told you that you need a little bit extra flow? Yep. This would actually turn in as a perfect landing. So right now we're going into the wind. All right. So there, got the power lines down there. We're cautious of those. At 500, we'll go around. So go ahead and bring in the power. Turn the carb heat off as well. Okay. And see how it's pushing up on you?
Yep.
Push this forward and take the trim out. So here you probably clear the power lines right here, and then you'd continue turning in, and you'd probably make it right into that field. But see how there's that power line? I'd probably choose the field over the road.
Right.
So then you can clear all that. All right. Climb it up. All right, we can go up to about, I think I see the confidence. You're doing what you need to be doing. The biggest thing, and it's at this early stage of your flying career, the standards is what kind of everybody gets pinched with. And then that's what I'm trying to home you into these standards, okay?
Okay.
The biggest thing is just kind of flying the headings that are assigned, altitudes. You're doing all right with the altitudes. The headings were a little bit kind of all over the place today, okay?
Okay.
So just don't let that get away from you. The other thing that I kind of notice, you're always in the gauges. So kind of pull yourself out a little bit more. That will really stabilize you and help you. They do drag a little bit. So I think some of this heading control is you're trying to just be too precise. Okay, don't worry about being precise. Find a heading, get on heading, look outside, find a reference point, and keep on flying towards that reference point. You look inside, you'll notice, hey, I'm still on heading. And I think that's going to make your life a little bit more simpler. Okay?
Okay.
The other thing, use the trim. Help yourself, okay? Because that's going to make it a little easier on you. You don't have to feel like you're going to the weight room every time you fly. So
it does feel like that.
Yeah. So what I would like to do is I'm going to have you go in and hit up some steep turns, the power off stalls. Well, let's say I'll give you power off stall credit. So let's do this. Speed up the steep turns, full flight, and then power on stall, and the engine out. And then what I'll do is I'll do a quick flight with you and just check those real quick again. If those are looking good, then you got my sign off. And then pretty much then you can continue on for solo. Let's see what the landings look like, okay?
Okay. Well, Hampton Roads traffic 4293 Juliet entering in a 45 for downwind for runway 28 Hampton Roads traffic.
Very good, okay. Now, what are the two things that you usually mess with before you land this airplane?
What do you mean mess with?
Like pre-landing checklist.
Pre-landing checklist?
Yeah.
It's going to be the...
Well, did you change anything on the mixture the whole flight?
I did not.
Okay, so that's already set, so we're good. What else do you got to do? Usually we turn the fuel pump off, right? But then the fuel pump would come on, okay? It's already on.
It's already on.
Yeah, but I'm just asking you, like,
okay,
just quizzing you, okay? Not that you're not doing it or it's not on. And the last thing is landing light, right? So that's the two things that it's already on.
But they're already, yeah.
Yeah. So that, I'm just saying, like, usually what you should do, okay? So yeah, so pretty much fuel pump on, landing line on, that's your pre-landing checklist. That's why
Romeo 7 miles to the south.
I recommend knock that out before you get on the downwind leg, and then after that, you're just worrying about landing the airplane, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead and make a landing.
Are we coming to a full stop?
Well, let's see how it looks. So just kind of keep it rolling, and if it looked good, then we might call it a day. If I feel like I want another one, then I'll just have you do a touch and go kind of.
All right, Hampton Roads traffic 4293 Juliet, base for runway 28, Hampton Roads traffic. Hampton Roads traffic 4293 Juliet, final for runway 28, Hampton Roads traffic.
What's your airspeed?
I'm really slow.
How do you fix that?
That's going to push me up, but I need to put that nose
All right,
down.
just like slow flight. Push the nose down, add some power for altitude control.
Should be good right here. Got my two lights, so got a good glide slope.
Traffic, Falcon Romeo 2 miles south, descending through 1400, overhead for runway 28. I've got the traffic on file.
I gotta flare this more.
Flare it more?
Yeah, that's a flat. You don't want to pancake it on the runway.
Okay.
You want to just kind of. All right, let's drop the flaps. Let's do one more. All right, so one thing is that fly the speeds. I don't know, does Tyler tell you specific speeds to maintain?
So me and Tyler normally come in faster than what Hunter was telling me.
Okay, what speed was Hunter telling you?
Hunter was, I want to say we were around 60. We were doing exactly what the checklist said do with Hunter. With Tyler, we were about 10 faster than that.
All right, so I teach at the end of downwind about 90. Base leg about 80. And on final, you're about 70. That kind of sound about right or no?
So finals, we're probably about 75, 70.
Okay,
yeah.
And here's the thing, when you have heavier winds, you're going to add more speed.
Right, and most of our landings have been heavier winds.
So Right, Tyler's saying, okay, be a little faster. Okay, he's not wrong. He's actually telling you a good idea to be a little faster on a gusty, more heavier wind kind. But winds are calm. You want to kind of get yourself closer to where you need to be. All right?
Separate for runway 5.
All right, so I'll talk you through this landing here. Maybe if you like my way of doing it, use it. All right? If not, what we'll do is you got slow on that speed on the base to final there. Don't want to get that. All right? You overshot a little bit. What causes the problems? You get that slow, you're going to turn more aggressively, you're going to pull back, they call that accelerated stall.
Okay.
You're going to go more or less into a spin right there. At 300 feet, do you think you have enough altitude to recover anything?
Absolutely not.
So you're going to end up in the ground, so I don't want you ever even being faced with that, okay?
You said I overshot a little bit?
Yeah. You see how you went past the center line, you had to come back?
Yes.
Okay, that's overshooting.
Okay.
So I'd rather you undershoot a little and get yourself lined up on center line than overshooting coming back, because that's where the problem is. You make a steeper turn to come back, and by making a steeper turn, you pull harder, and when you pull harder, you bleed off the airspeed, and also stall speed increases, and then possibility of the wing dipping and spinning.
Gotcha.
Romeo, turn at final, runway 28.
Traffic right there on final.
Okay, so pre-landing check has been completed. All right, you're bringing your power down. Very good. First setting of flaps, nice. I just keep that back pressure right now. Let us slow it up to about 90. Now release the back pressure. Trying to get it to about 90, so allow that nose to come down. See how it's kind of getting itself.
Oh, so you want to come down even more?
Just a little bit right there. It lags. So see how there's a lag?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's your 500 feet per minute. This is perfect here. Trim out. So which way is the nose doing?
Going down.
All right, so, well, trim out the way that you want it to so it doesn't do it. So if you let go of the controls, which way the nose? See how you trim down? It wants to pull you down and take you down. So if you're doing too much trim. Do about 1 to 2 trims max. No more than that.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Now you're ready to turn. Let's go ahead and turn base.
All right, Hampton Roads traffic 4293 Juliet, base for runway 28.
So see how you're pulling back in the turn? Don't pull back. Just
let it turn.
Let it kind of slice through. See how it keeps itself at 500 feet per minute?
Yes.
Because what happened? You pulled back. It blinds you off with speed. Relax that control a little bit. There you go. Because you're trying to get these speeds. About 80 on base. You're looking good here. Okay?
Okay.
And then power as required. See how it's a little bit low? Add some more power.
Right.
1700-ish. Kind of keep it. You want to be about 500 feet to turn on final. Okay? So this is how you regulate it. So see how you're kind of doing too much up and down with the thing. You want to allow that nose adder to be just like this because you want the speed. So see how you're sinking? What are you going to counter it with?
With power.
There you go. Add power. Add more power. Add more power. Keep that nose a little lower. There you go. All right, perfect. Okay, so now you're good. Now you can start backing a little bit of this power out. Start turning. There you go. Don't pull back. See how you're pulling back?
Yes. Hampton Roads traffic 4293 Juliet, final for runway 28.
All right, that was beautiful right there. See how you got it right on center line. That's what you want every time. Did you overbank? No.
No.
You did it nicely, all right? Keep this coming in. Your speed's looking good. If you did want to slow it up just a little bit, then you just bring the nose up just a smidgen, just a hair, not too much. I would say put that trim where it's holding you, maybe a little bit up, just a hair. Good. Perfect. And now you're just using the power to get you down. So just ease out a little power. Just a little bit, bleeding it out. You're just kind of gently bleeding it out. If you need a little bit more out, just gently bleeding it out. A little bit more, gently bleeding it out. Now once you come over the number here, you're going to bring the nose up and just straight and level, right there. Once you get the sinking, see the sinking, pull back to touchdown. That was a beautiful landing, right?
Okay.
So see, the idea is to just kind of get yourself in ground effect. Don't even worry about touching down. And once you get that sinking effect, flare, 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 flare to touch. All right?
Yeah, that's definitely different than what I've been doing. I've been holding back to try to maintain, my altitude instead of doing the trim. It's a much smoother way of doing it.
So you know how we practice that slow flight? What's the
Yes.
main idea? Why they make you even do that?
For landings.
Okay, that final base, final, so that ended downwind base and final, that's that final phase of your landing theory. That's why they're telling you that, because remember how I was telling you, get that airspeed with the pitch and for airspeed, and what did you do at the end there? You throttled for altitude control. See how nicely you did it at the end?
Yeah.
You just took it out, had it there, took it out, and then you were just adjusting yourself for the descent rate. But what did you do? You already established yourself with the pitch for your speed control. And that's why you never got slow. You made that turn perfectly on center line, and see how it came all together?
Yeah.
And then you had a nice land.
That makes perfect sense. You know, having just pitching with the, and then letting it drop, and then using.
If you do the trim, then you don't have to pull back.
Yeah.
And the one thing I noticed with you, as you turn, you pull back as well.
Yes.
In the traffic pattern, don't pull back.
Okay.
So when you set yourself on the descent rate, you just turn, and if you trimmed it just right, it's going to hold you perfect.
Gotcha.
Think of it, you're going down a slide, and you want to continuously go down a slide even if you're making your turns.
That
Okay?
makes perfect sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so let's clean up. We'll taxi
All right.
back, shut down, and then...
Fuel pumps off. Our strobe lights on. We're going to take off. Car heat's already off. Landing lights mixture.
I'll pull it out a little bit more because now it's
Okay.
getting a little warmer. I think it's like about 70 degrees.
And the road's traffic 4293 Juliet. Clear runway 28. Enter traffic.
Okay, so I kind of gave you more or less a debrief of all the maneuvers with the landings. Like I say, you're a very confident pilot. This is good. You know what you're kind of doing. You're flying the airplane. You're putting the inputs when you need to. Just trying to get you fine-tuned. Now, more or less, okay, it was acceptable, but the big thing that I kind of was a red flag for me when we got to the base to final, when we got really slow at 60.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want to be slow. As you increase bank, stall speed increases. So you don't want to get yourself in trouble. So that's the idea with me. I'm not trying to fail you to make your life miserable.
Oh, it's all good.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have you improve your skills because you're almost there. But I want you to fine-tune them just a little bit more because I want you to be safe.
Right.
All right? It's my responsibility to make sure that you come back after each flight. All right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where I'm giving you some of the feedback. If you feel like you don't agree with me, please let me know.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Look, so it's great having along with all three of you because you all teach differently. And some of the things that you were saying made it a whole lot easier. Like you were saying, I'm always wrestling the controls.
Yeah.
Not having that's great. Like I actually want to do another flight with you.
All right, if you want to do another prep flight, what I could do with you is if you want to combine it, let's do a prep flight, and if it looks good at the end of the flight, then I could even sign you off, and then you can continue on. If you want to do it that way, we can do it that way, okay?
Okay.
Like I say, there's not too much for you to tweak to get it where you need to be, all right?
Was I scared for my life? No.
That's a good thing, I guess.
There's some flights I come back from, I'm like, oh shit.
That's a good thing.
This person really needs to go back out there and,
Yeah.
and try rethink, how they do things.
It's a lot going on too, it's nerves. It's like, man,
Yeah, and that's
this is the big guy.
Yeah, that's the other thing I get. A lot of people when we talk and stuff like that, but when we fly together, I've been there. I know what it is.
Right.
You get put into the hot seat and
Yes.
your nerves turns on. So sometimes I have people kind of it's a performance anxiety kind of idea because they're like intimidated by the person who's next to them.
Yep.
And when the examiner gets in here, guess what? You're going to have that even more.
Right.
Because now it's on your, like with me, I'm not passing or failing you for a test. I'm not charging you a $800 fee.
Right.
And you got money on the line, and plus you also have, hey, am I going to fail this? I'm going to have to come back. What's the deal here? With me, like I say, I get it. There is a level of nervousness, and
Yep.
then the big thing is with this, at least you get exposed to it early on, So by the time you go to the check ride, it's going to be just another check pilot flying with you, okay?
Okay.
And that's kind of how I like to set up the program, and that's why I like to do these prog checks too, because it gives you multiple things besides just checking on where you're at with your progress. And I say you're progressing pretty good, okay? And yeah, everybody does have their own teaching style.
Yeah.
But I try to keep kind of more or less all of us to the same idea. That's why I try to put that sheet out. You got the maneuver sheet, right?
I have the maneuver sheet.
So, and that's kind of the way I teach it, is what the FAA is pushing these days. And then, like, sometimes instructors had different standards when they were coming through, you know. So I had to amend my teaching technique a couple times, because in that 20 years, 19 to 20 years of me teaching, FAA changes things,
right.
Okay? They see, hey, this thing's not 100% working. We're going to tweak this way. And then you have those other guys that come into the FAA office and they're going to reinvent the wheel, you know? So, so you're kind of at those different specifics for standards, and that's where you got to kind of fly to what they want at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of what they want at this time, and that's why I kind of do this with you, so it gives you a heads up. Okay, this is what I'm doing, so you can use the rest of the course to hone your skills and get yourself to perfection. Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, you're not far off. Like I said, you did a good job today. Don't let this rattle you. Don't take it in a negative way.
Look.
Like I said, for me, I always err on a side of, hey, I want you to be safe. If I can have you tweak this and then you go out for solo, I know and I feel confident you'll come back with not a problem. You're going to feel good about yourself. Your confidence is going to get boosted, because that's a big thing is for solos. It's a confidence builder. That's what they give you to do all this stuff by yourself, because now there's no instructor in the right seat to help you or take over. Like, I don't know if I told you, like, when I soloed for the first time, I'm like, I looked over at the
You said who?
empty seat, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta man this myself now, you know?
It's just you, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just me, yeah. So it's kind of that's the idea, where now you can't depend on, hey, the other guy's just gonna take care of it.
Right.
And with me, like, I have had some time to, you know, develop my teaching techniques and stuff, and I took a lot of input from different instructors, and the way that I kind of got to where I am. You know, I always try to learn different things. Okay?
Yeah.
I tell people their way or the only way of doing things is not acceptable, because there's many ways to do things to get you the same result. So with me, I'm not trying to change what you're doing. I'm just trying to tweak the standards, giving you little pointers here and there. If you like them, use them. You feel like that they're not working for you, you just don't really care for that technique, don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess you up. Okay, I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying let's tweak this a little bit, and then I think you got it.
You know, I like that, especially the one where we were coming down and from downwind to base, just trimming out and using the power. Like it all of a sudden clicked, because they always say pitch for speed, power for altitude. It just never really clicked.
Yeah.
Like, you get it, and that really
with that,
honed it in.
You locked yourself in,
Yeah.
and then the other thing, you're just kind of using this power as required. Now, you notice how we were getting low. So
Yes.
what I was telling you to do, add power, add power. So you
and
did.
I've never had that much power in, because I would just be pulling back and then doing my turn to make sure that I'm maintaining altitude, but I'm constantly working.
Yeah.
So this was
way,
less work.
Yeah, less work, and then at the same time, you got yourself the numbers. Because I tell people, landing airplanes is a numbers game.
Okay.
If you hit your numbers and you are in those, and it's a variation. It's not depth smack on 72 or whatever, you know. If you're right in that range, and that's why I tell you that 70 to 75 that you mentioned, that's the range. That's perfect. That's what you're looking for. Okay, that's kind of a good speed to come in on final, short final. When do we start flying? You rotate, well, about 60-ish, 55 to 60, something like that, 65. Where do we lift off? About 65 to 70. Okay. When are you touching down? Do you know what speed?
We're touching down probably around about the same speed.
Exactly. So it's a full revolution. Wherever you start, you fly, and then you come back, and you're gonna be touching down at the same speed. Okay. So that's kind of the idea. Well, when you're floating down the ground effect there, let's say your final speed was 70. When you bring the nose up a little bit up, and you take the power out, okay, what are you doing?
You're bleeding off speed.
You're bleeding off speed. So guess what? About that 60 to 65 in that range, that's where you're more or less going to be touching down. Okay? That's the same, more or less the same speed that you're kind of almost roughly lifting off.
Right.
Okay? So that's kind of the whole general idea of taking off, flying in, and landing. All right, so to make it easier,